The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Glory to you, O Lord. When Jesus heard of the death of John the Baptist, he withdrew in a boat to a deserted place by himself. The crowds heard of this and followed him on foot from their towns. When he disembarked and saw the vast crowd, his heart was moved with pity for them, and he cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples approached him and said, "This is a deserted place, and it is already late. Dismiss the crowds so that they can go to the villages and buy food for themselves." He said to them, "There is no need for them to go away. Give them some food yourselves." But they said to him, 5 loaves and 2 fish are all we have here." Then he said, "Bring them here to me." And he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he said the blessing, broke the loaves, and gave them to the disciples, who in turn gave them to the crowds. They all ate and were satisfied. And they picked up the fragments left over, 12 wicker baskets full. Those who ate were about 5,000 men, not counting women and children. The Gospel of the Lord. Yes, great gospel passage, right? Of course, we've heard this feeding miracle recently in the Gospel of John. We see it multiply attested through the Scriptures. Of course, rightfully, the story appears in every Gospel. I mean, it's just a massive event, the feeding of 5,000. But I do have to say, just in brackets, quickly, this first reading is like that's Wade's favorite reading from all of Scripture. I think he loves this. He loves this prayer of Moses that ends, right, because he's speaking directly to God. If this is the way you deal with me, then please do me the favor of killing me at once. So you have to ask Wade about that. That's his, he's got some issues, but that's we'll talk about that publicly. So yeah, we have the great gospel passage here, the feeding of the 5,000. I want to say that it's here. What we're encountering is the pattern. Of course, it's the pattern of Jesus' life. So it's also the pattern of discipleship. And this, my friends, we have to live the way that is revealed in this gospel passage. We have to live the way that this pattern is given to us. So what do I mean by that? Here, right? Jesus is withdrawing, right? He's heard the death of John the Baptist. He has to grieve. But as he leaves, as he tries to go to the deserted place, he encounters this. This is where he encounters this crowd. Now, somehow the most prolific event, let's say the most powerful deed, perhaps, that Jesus accomplishes among the people comes shortly on the tail of his attempt to go and grieve. Just want to. That's actually a side comment, but I think it's very important for us to see that. And in the same way, we can see this kind of grief, suffering, struggling, and the rest. We can see that tied also with raising Lazarus from the dead, right? So we could see that. Well, that's a great healing miracle, right? Amazing healing miracle, and these things are tied together. We should hold them together ourselves. But more than that, right? Jesus encounters the crowd. He's not put out by them or put off by them. He is intent on teaching them. He's intent on giving them what he has. And he's turning, in that sense, his grief to new life in the people who have come to him. And they've come to him to be led by him. And that's exactly what he's doing. Now, in that, there are perhaps concentric circles of intimate relation with Jesus. And the closest people to Jesus, what do? They intuit, naturally, the need of the crowd, the need of the people around them. The disciples bring to Jesus this most pressing issue. With all these people who are around us, where are we going to get food to feed them, right? So they're in tune with Jesus, or they're attuned with Jesus. And this is us, the first kind of part of our discipleship, the first part of our trusting and following Jesus, living totally for God and his purposes, all the rest, we're gathered around Jesus. What happens when we are gathered around Jesus? The closer we are to Jesus, the more in tune we are with the needs of the world, with the needs of the people around us. Okay, so that, now, if that's I don't know how to say this. If that's lacking in us, we've got to start praying. We've got to start begging God to reveal the needs of the world to us. Two things really. We've got to say, Lord, I want to be close. I want to be closer to you. I want to be close enough to you that your heart is my heart. And that this and what concerns you is also what concerns me. Right? And then we'll start to become sensitized to the needs of the people around us, the needs of the world, that we as a Jesus people are called to meet. Right? It's clear, Jesus here. He's trying to meet the needs of the world. He's raising up God's fallen world. Okay, so anyway, this is the first part of it, right? The closer we are to Jesus, the more in tune we are with the needs of the world. And what do we do? What do we do with those needs? Of course, we bring them to Jesus. But they're so overwhelming. Right? The needs of the world are so overwhelming. Even any particular, say, part of the call of Christ that he is stirring in you, right? That's all part of Christian worship, God-centeredness, and service, also God-centeredness, but the overflowing of his love into the world. Right? So where are we on this? We have to, we start to feel or intuit or understand or see the needs that are kind of pressing in on us, and we take them to Jesus. What does he do? He says, "You do something about it." I mean, this is part of like the natural process of prayer, right? Because the inspiration for the desire to meet the needs of the world comes from Jesus. You better believe that he's also working out something of the answer in you as he brings that to life. So we bring it back to him. Okay, Lord, do something about this. And he says, you do something about it. It's not like you and you in terms of separation, because he's inspiring, he's encouraging, he's strengthening, right? So you do something about it means we will do something about it, right? But you do something. So, and you say, but this is all I have. All I have is the right? And you can say, these are all my resources. This is what I have. This is who I am. These are my personal, emotional resources. This is the time I have, the energy, the rest of it. It's not enough. It's not enough. And he says, what? Bring it here to me. Bring it here to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Give me everything you have and everything you are. And then what does he do? We give it to him. We have to. We give it to him. We entrust ourselves totally to him. Again, for the needs of the world. We give it all to him. And then he takes it, and here, I say here at the altar, right? He offers it to God. We offer ourselves along with Jesus, through and with and in Jesus, we offer ourselves to God. And then we are made, and our what we have and what we are is, I'm coined this word already, so take it up with me like 3 weeks ago. Super substantialize, I don't know what I said, but he makes our offering super substantial to meet the needs of the world. Then we go out. I mean, can you imagine this? Like 5 loaves and 2 fish, which is nothing, of course. It's hardly enough to feed 2 people. And then he gives it to the disciples. So he said the blessing, broke the loaves. This is Eucharistic language. He gave them to the disciples, who in turn gave them to the crowds. Can you imagine, I don't know what that looked like when he gave them back what they were to give to the crowds. But they certainly could not have been carrying food for 15,000 people. So what do? They take, maybe it's an expanded offering, enough to give them confidence to go and start giving it away. But as they give it away, it's not depleted. It's not diminished. That's an act of trust. You go walk out into a crowd of 15,000 people with only food as much as you can carry and think that you're going to feed them. Except that Jesus told you that you would. This is discipleship, my friends. This is discipleship. And this is what he's calling each of us to do. Our lives have to fit this pattern. If they don't, I think they're falling short of Christian discipleship. Can I say? I want to say that, but if you have real issues with that, come and talk to me, because I can't talk to all these people at once. Dude, I don't know how Jesus talked to a crowd of 15,000 people at once and somehow hit their every need. I can't do it. But I can say something like that should stir something up in you. If your life doesn't look like this, I don't think it's a life of Christian discipleship. I think there's something else going on. And hopefully that stirs us up enough that we realize, oh, wow, we have to do this together. We have to transform our whole life together. We have to transform the life of this entire community together in order to have lives that in fact reflect this primal call to Christian discipleship. Okay, so all of that plus this. This is about the Eucharist. This is about the Eucharist, right? We celebrate these great saints today. They're worthy of more exploration and the rest. Saint Peter Amard as an example. To develop a congregation of priests who are contemplating the Eucharist. I mean, this is it. But all Christian discipleship is Eucharistic. Because it's all about giving everything we have and everything we are to God through and with and in Jesus. And finding that offering transformed to be made substantial enough to meet the needs of the world. To be an expression, an outpouring of God's own life of love. So my friends, he is going to make it happen. Right? This is what it looks like. They all ate and were satisfied. We know that the world is not satisfied. We know that the people around us need more than we out of our natural resources can provide. But when we offer ourselves to God and when we receive back the strength of his own life of love, now we're ready to start feeding the crowd, feeding the people around us.